Happy Monday, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen. I am a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 kids. I homeschool, and then I do videos on going to thrift stores and Goodwills, and I'm an eBay reseller. So today's going to be different. Today I did not go to the thrift store because it was 8 degrees outside and it's snowing on and off again, and I don't want to take my kids out in that. So today I'm going to be showing you how I make homemade bread, and I'm going to be showing you how I make my chicken noodle soup in the crock pot. And then just like a little bit of, what I do in the day. So let's go. All right, so we're jumping right into breakfast. I've got my toddler with her little crazy hair because I haven't done it yet, making sausage and biscuits, and they'll have some eggs. But I'm going to go ahead and do my crock pot chicken noodle soup. I always make it in a crock pot. So I use carrots. I cut those in half. You can cut them smaller. I just cut mine in half. Or you don't even have to put carrots in there if you don't like. You can put really whatever. I normally put onions in here too, but I didn't have any. So just didn't use the onions. And then celery. So go ahead and cut those off. And I did wash these after I pulled them off. I just didn't take a video of that. And then I cut off all those. I don't know what the top part is called, but I cut those off. And then slice them. You can cut them smaller if you like. This is just how I cut mine. Really easy soup recipe, like my favorite go-to whenever it's cold outside. Garlic cloves, I just use 2. And I like to go ahead and just separate mine out after I get them from the store and just put them in a baggie so they're just easy to use. And I use chicken quarters. There's 4 in there, or chicken thighs, depending on what you call them. They're boneless, skinless is what I get. Garlic powder, onion powder. I do not measure, just pour it in till it looks good, I guess. Parsley. I did speed it up so you wouldn't have to be watching it in pain, but that was the Knorr chicken bouillon, just like powder. And that is really salty, so I don't use a lot of salt. And there was pepper. And then I use about 6 cups of water. Here. You like to color?
Yeah, coloring. I can't help coloring.
Thank you. And with the soup, I let it cook all day in the crock pot. So anywhere from 10 in the morning or earlier until dinner time. So that's a packet of yeast. You go ahead and warm up some water, and it's 4 cups of water, and you're going to want it to be hot water. Not like super hot because that will kill the yeast. But like people say bathroom temperature water, but I like it to be like 115. Like I even use a thermometer to check it. You pour your yeast in that bowl or measuring cup, and then you put a little bit of sugar in it. It just helps activate the yeast and wakes it up a little bit. And then you're going to mix it all together really good. And then you're going to let this sit covered for 10 minutes in a warm place. So I put it next to the crock pot because that was warm. So you see how it's a little bit bubbly? That means your yeast is awake. And I've seen other times that I've made this that it has more bubbles. This time wasn't very many. And a 1/3 cup of oil. I use butter. And then a 1/3 cup of honey. I like to get my honey from a garden store because they have local honey. And I did add a tablespoon of salt in here too. It's a really easy recipe, and I've made other ones, but this one's by far my favorite. All right, so now you're going to be adding 5 cups of flour, and then you're going to be mixing that all in. And then after you mix that all in, you're going to add in 5 more cups of flour, one at a time. All right, so I don't have a fancy blender or stand mixer, so I just use a wooden spoon. It tends not to stick as bad compared to a, silverware or metal. So I just use wooden. It always works better for me. I've tried other ones, but this always works. You just keep mixing it until it looks like this, and now you're going to add 1 scoop at a time of flour, 1 cup. I keep calling them scoops. That's how you know I'm not a professional chef over here, guys. Yeah, 1 cup of flour, mix it like this, and you're going to do that 4 more times. It does not look very pretty right now, but it will. Just keep mixing. Probably be a lot easier with a stand mixer. It does get tough to mix, so if you're using your hand or just the spoon in the hand like I am, it does get really dense. And it does kind of look like it's not going to all work together. But after this, I use my hands. After I get all the flour put in, I do knead it and work it really good with the hands so that way it forms. Alright, so this is my favorite part about making bread, is the kneading process. I know some people don't like to do that, but I do. See how it does not look good at all? It doesn't look like it's even going to stay together. It will work. Just keep working on it. Definitely not a professional. See, it's already looking better. It's looking better, guys. And the recipe says to knead it for 5 to 8 minutes. So I did it for 5 minutes until it looked like it's supposed to. Like dough and not like the shaggy mess like I had. And I'm trying to make sure there's no bubbles or any air pockets. Alright, so then you can grease a bowl and put it in there, but I just put it in parchment paper and put it in a bowl. You cover it and put it in a warm, dry place. So I like to put mine in an oven because I know it'll be warm in there. Not a hot oven though. So I like to turn it on for maybe about 2 minutes and then turn it right back off. Maybe less than 2 minutes, just until it gets to like 110 degrees. And then I put it in there. And you're going to let it stay in that area, wherever you want to put it, for 35 to 45 minutes. Now I'm doing my least favorite part of cooking or making bread or anything like that is the cleanup. I don't think anybody likes doing the cleanup part. And when I'm making the chicken noodle soup, I always make my own egg noodles. And when I was making those, it did not record. I thought I was recording and I wasn't, but I can still put the recipe in the description for both the bread and the chicken noodle soup with the noodles. And then here in Kansas, we always put our chicken noodle soup over mashed potatoes. I don't know if everybody does that, but we do that here. So let me know what y'all think about that. Shake it. You helping, Mama? Keep going. Good job. All the way in. Good job. Get that side. Good job. High five. High five, Mama. Oh, good job. Good job. All right. We got to close it up. All right. Okay, so this is what you would call the money pile or the death pile or anything like that. So I keep mine on the shelf. This is everything that I need to get listed. So I'm just going to lot the cherished teddies. I've just been putting it off because I didn't want to do it. Which, why would you buy it and not list it? And sometimes I don't. And then I do it when I don't want to. So I'm going to list this. That's going to be all as a set. List that and that. So I got 10 things. I'm going to list all these together. All the pantyhose together. So it's not terrible. That's my setup. There's my absolute favorite plant that I own. It's a string of hearts, but it's my favorite. And then I made a baby one. So I didn't go anywhere today because it was so cold, but that's okay. We're going to get all this tackled, get that done, and then move on with the day, right? All right, let's get this all done. All right, so now it's been about 48 minutes. This is what it looks like. And then you're going to take 3 loaf pans, and you can use cooking spray or anything you want, but I use butter for my stuff. I do not like using cooking sprays, so I use butter. And the butter I get is only cream and salt, so. And then you're going to grease all of your pans. This will make 3 loaves. That's my son. He thought it was ready to eat because the timer went off. I swear, he could eat all day. All right, so now you're going to punch it down to get the air out. And then you're going to take it out, put it on another floured surface, and then you're going to knead it again. So I do this a little bit slower because I don't want it to pull all the bread dough off. That's why you probably should just use a greased pan. I just do it this way. I've tried doing it in a greased pan before and it stuck to the pan horribly, so I just do it this way. Okay, now you're going to knead it. Just to get air bubbles out. You don't have to do it for 5 minutes. Form it into like a ball. Well, a log, because you're going to have to cut it into 3s. So like that, just like a giant loaf. Try to make it kind of even. I'm not very good at making it even. I always end up with 1 giant loaf and 2 small loaves, but it all eats the same, you know what I mean, in your belly. So that's what I tell my kids. Then I got a fancy little cutter. You could use whatever you got. There's 1. Set them aside. And then you're going to do it again. And then you'll end up with 3. So that's probably my mistake. I made that one too small. That's fine. It all still will be bread. And then you're going to knead it for a little bit to get the rest of the air bubbles out. And then you're going to flatten it out with your hands. You don't need to use a rolling pin. kind of stretch it. It doesn't need to be super thin. And then you're going to roll it tight, like a burrito. As tight as you can make it. Mine's, again, I'm not a professional. Not a professional, but the bread tastes good, so. And then you got a little loaf. And then I pinch that at the bottom. And then you're going to pop that in your little greased little loaf pan. So I know y'all can see that scar on my arm. I broke my arm when I was 12 years old. And playing volleyball, I fell. And then another girl had fell on top of me when I was trying to get up. And my bones came out of my arm. So now there's a plate in my arm. Alright, so then you'll roll it again. Okay, so now they're going to need to rest for another 30 minutes, 30 to 35, covered, and you're going to brush them with butter, each of them, before you cover them up. And then I put them, they need to be warm, but not hot, and you know what I mean, like not cooking. So I just put them covered where my crock pot is, because my crock pot's really hot. Or you could put it in a warmed oven. And I normally do that if I don't have the crock pot on. And while you're waiting for your bread to rise, you need to preheat your oven to 350, and then they will bake for 30 minutes. And that's what they look like when they come out of the oven. So I do have one giant one and then two baby ones, but it's still bread. And then you brush them again with butter, and you can add as much butter or as little amount of butter as you'd like. And then there's tonight's dinner, homemade chicken noodle soup. And that's going to be the end of today's video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.